Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. And today, as you see already written down, is the topic of today, something that a lot of people don't really realize or think about. Your dysfunctional relationship is the key to a healthy relationship. And it's not in the way that it sounds in terms of where someone might think, okay, well, you want to get rid of all the aspects that was bad in your dysfunctional relationship. And that's how you have a healthy relationship. No, this is quite the opposite. So stay tuned for us really diving into all the aspects that a lot of people do not really think about, do not really realize when it comes to what would make a relationship very functional. So let's dive into it. What I mean by this, the statement that you see written above, we're going to go into this whole listing down below in a little bit. But when you're in a dysfunctional relationship and you give so much for a person and you're after them, you want them so much, so you're doing all this dysfunctional stuff for them, but then later on, like, you won't do those. You get out of that relationship and the first thing you say to yourself is, I don't want to do none of those things again. The truth is this: all the things you were doing in that dysfunctional relationship, 9 times out of 10 are very healthy for the relationship. You need to keep doing them. You don't like the issue is this: the issue is not at all um the issue is not all that you sacrificed for that person when you were in the relationship with them, because you actually didn't mind doing those things. It is the fact that you were never appreciated for it. I need you to let that part sink in for a moment. Meaning, if that same person you had the dysfunctional relationship with, instead of when you went out of your way to go and do something for them, pick something up for them, maybe had a long drive, maybe you know, you cook for them, you clean for them. Maybe you were bringing in most of the money and they weren't. This could be whether you're a woman or a man, it doesn't matter. And you were doing most of the stuff, and they were on down luck at the time and whatever. If they would have, in all those scenarios, all those things you would have done for them, said, "Listen, like, I appreciate so much what you did. I love you so much." Give you a big hug, whatever the case is. You would, in fact, actually felt, okay, I didn't mind that I did that because they showed the appreciation. The issue you had was they didn't show the appreciation. Maybe right after that, they disrespected you and said, "Oh, you're good for nothing," even though you just did a favor for them, cleaned for them, you cooked for them, whatever it was. You took a long trip for them. You went to go get something for them. You gave them money for something they're dealing with. They still will look at you like, "Oh, you're stupid. You're this and that," degrade you. Maybe even they put their hands on you, whatever the case is. And that's what makes you feel bothered. So, with that being said, I need you to understand the fact that all the things you were doing for that person was key. Now, the issue is this: what you did for that person. A lot of times when people go into the next relationship, the first thing, or they're single and they're looking for the next relationship, the first thing they always say to themselves is, I'm not doing those things again. I'm not doing those things for nobody again. That is the wrong mentality to have, because the next person, the next woman or man, they want those same things you did in that dysfunctional relationship for that other person. We'll go and say, if it's a female and she was like, okay, there was a guy um who, you know, if there was a female and she, for example, in the bedroom for a particular man, gave him all the things he wanted, and and did whatever it was that he said, even though this guy maybe didn't deserve it, whatever the case is, but he had that dominant personality. She gave him anything he wanted. Um, maybe she cooked for him and cleaned for him, even when she had a long day of working and she was tired, but she did all that stuff for him. The next guy, he wants those things. He wants to be able to come in and say, listen, like, when I come home and I want to be intimate in the bedroom, I want it my way, like, do it my way. He's like, I want food when I get home. The only difference is, if he's a good person, he's going to, appreciate it. He's not going to just say it in a way that makes it sound mean. He's going to say, "Oh, I love that. I appreciated that. Oh, I'm so thankful that you did that." And he's not going to be as strict to say, "I need you to do it that way all the time. I need you to cook all the time, every day." He's going to be appreciative of it. Same thing, vice versa. If there's a man and he is spending money on a woman, he's taking her out, he's making her feel great, he's buying her all these things, handbags, jewelry, all this other kind of stuff. He's getting used. He's getting treated like trash. When the next woman comes along, she wants those things. The only difference is if she's a good person, she's not going to treat you bad. And you're going to have done that because you wanted to do it. And she's going to be appreciative that you did it. So you get the point I'm saying. So that becomes a big issue where people think that the next person doesn't deserve it. Learn the lesson from your dysfunctionality in a relationship and understand that the issue that made it dysfunctional was that the person didn't appreciate what you're doing for them, not that you were actually doing those things for them. So understand that for a healthy relationship, you are not supposed to take away all the things that you've done in a dysfunctional relationship, regardless of within that dysfunctional relationship, you might have felt like it felt one sided. You might almost feel like if you were the woman, why is it I don't get my way in certain things? That's healthy because when the other person does the same for you and gives to you all the things that they um you know uh, gave up. So we'll say in the case where you have a woman who was in a dysfunctional relationship and was abused, treated like trash, disrespected and whatnot. You have a man in a dysfunctional relationship who was, treated really bad, disrespected, was spending all this money, this and that. That person didn't appreciate the money you're spending. If those two same people get together, then guess what? That woman is making that man feel like a king because she's doing everything he wants in the bedroom. She's cooking for him. She's cleaning for him, everything like that. And that woman feels like a queen because that man is taking her out, taking her on nice dates. It's not necessarily about the money, but it's about the fact that he just naturally enjoys doing that without her even asking for it, because that's who he is naturally as a person. He's giving, he's sharing, he's thankful and grateful. And that creates a healthy relationship. So you see how right there, I just took two dysfunctional relationships, took those two same people and how much effort they put them together. And now so you have a healthy relationship. Key also is understanding that you can't look at the person that you don't quote unquote want as much or you don't desire as much as the person when you were in the dysfunctional relationship and go, I'm not going to give that to them because I find it unappealing. So I'm not going to give them that. That makes it dysfunctional in the fact that now you become the person who is the bad person in the dysfunctional relationship, if that makes any sense. So jumping into this list that we have right here, is just to point out that when you go into that next relationship after a dysfunctional relationship, a lot of times what we do is we go down a whole checklist of things that we want. And we say to ourselves, this is what I want in a relationship. The problem with this is that a lot of times you have a lot of people who they put that out there and then they don't understand is that if everyone's putting that out there, it's going to immediately cause to trigger the downfall of what will be the beginnings of a relationship. Now, in a past video, I just did the topic about how instant gratification has caused us in society to put out there what we want right away through, you're getting to know someone, all you have is means of like texting or, you just started getting to know them. You haven't really had that uncomfortableness to not say upfront what it is that you demand. And what happens is excuse me, you end up saying things that you want up front and it causes a problem. Now, kind of following up to that, we do that a lot. We make a checklist and we say, these are all the things that I want, but you're not considering what is it the other person wants. So you have to understand that when you come into a situation, you can't come with a list of like, say 10 things. We're going to use a random arbitrary number, say 10 things. You can't come into a situation saying, I got 10 things that I want and that I demand. And I'm going to give them that list. And I'm hoping that they're going to like everything on that list, or I don't want to, get to know them. I don't want to try to bond with them or whatever the case is. You have to actually say to yourself, out of 10 things that I want, I have to put 5 things on that list. And that's your list of 5 things, and that they're going to end up putting 5 things because you can't both get 10 things. You can't get all 10 things that you want. They can't get all 10 things they want. So you have to come into it with the mindset of, I'm going to put in 5, they're going to put in 5. And you have to think of it like this, going back to that dysfunctionality or that dysfunctional relationship is the key to a healthy relationship. You have to say to yourself, first off, understand what is your priorities in terms of the in terms of what your five things are. Now, it doesn't have to necessarily be five things. Whatever the number is whatever your list is of your demands, just cut it in half or have a top three, a top five, whatever it is. But the point is this: whatever those things are, don't assume nothing's for free. For an example, some women go and think, well, a man protecting me, that's automatic. No, don't view that as automatic because him being a protector and protecting somebody comes at a large cost and he should not be giving that out for free. So that's part of his things that he's giving up. Same for a woman. A guy might say, I expect a woman to cook and clean automatically. No, that's something that's also going to be something that she's giving up. Everything goes on the list. When you consider everything on the list, then you have a more fair, balanced list. Don't assume nothing's for free. With that being said, going back to the dysfunctionality aspect of what you came from, understand that that other thing that the other person's going to require or ask of you, their list versus yours, when you give your five and they give their five, these are going to be things similar to the dysfunctionality aspect that you are not going to like. You need to be comfortable with the idea that their top five things, and this is where people have the problem. They come with a list of, you come with a list of 10 things and you say, these are my 10 things, and you should like those 10 things that I like for myself. No, that makes no sense. Why would their likes be your likes? That doesn't make sense because your likes is what benefits you. Understand that their five likes that they're going to come to the table with, and you have your five, are going to be things you do not like. You're not going to like any of them. You're not supposed to like any of them. You're supposed to feel like, man, when I do those things, it feels like work. That's how it's supposed to be. I know no one likes hearing that because they want to think that relationships are happy and roses and all this other good stuff and rainbows. It's not. Similar to someone going to work, and some people say, do you like your job? Do you hate your job? You get by in life when you say, I'm supposed to hate my job, but it's a means to an end to get by. Now, sometimes people get lucky and they love their job. Just like sometimes you might have a partner who their five things, you absolutely love them. But even if you love them, also understand that that doesn't mean that that person now could say, well, because you love that, that doesn't count. And I get to add five more things on my list because you happen to love these things. No, that just means you guys lucked out. But nonetheless, going back to what I said before, you should be viewing it from a perspective as you're not going to like these things and you're not going to enjoy them. But similar to when you were in a dysfunctional relationship and you did them anyway, you just wanted to feel appreciated, you're going to do them anyway. And the same for you, your list, that person's not going to like those things. But when they were in a dysfunctional relationship, they did them anyway. They're going to do those things anyway, regardless of whether they like it or not. And that is where you both start to gain the joy of the relationship because you guys are getting what you want from the relationship. The only difference, like I mentioned before, versus a dysfunctional relationship is you're going to thank them for giving you the five things on your list or however many things you have on your list. They're going to thank you for giving you the five things they have on their list. And that is where you have a healthy dynamic of a relationship. A lot of people don't understand this. Um, I spoke to someone not that long ago who, I was having a conversation with. And when I said to them, well, these are the things that most guys will, might like or whatever the case is. And when they had to compromise their list, immediately they were like, well, I wouldn't talk to a person then who is asking for that because, you know, I don't think it should be that way. I think it should be more fair and balanced. But what they considered fair and balanced is they wanted the same things that the other person wanted, but in their favor. So that's another thing to understand too. Their wants, especially based on what sex you are, guy or girl, male or female, their wants or their number one thing is going to be different than your number one thing. Do not try to now say, no, I want your number one to be fair and balanced because for them, you say to them, I want your number one to be fair and balanced because your number one is not fair and balanced to what they want. It's what you want. So don't try to compromise their list. That's a big thing that a lot of people do. They say, this is my wants, but I don't like your wants and I want to compromise them. I want to change them. No. So for example, and I did a past video on this too, between the top three things that most men and women demand of each other that is top priority versus not. Okay, so I found the list of those things, and I'm just gonna jot them out down here really quick, um, so you guys know. But this is, it goes deep. I did a past video on this, but it's gonna go deeper into things. So these are things that a man. I'm sorry about trying to write behind the camera. These are things that a man brings to the table, and these are things that a woman brings to the table generally, meaning these are things on the woman's side. A man wants these things from a woman. On the man's side, these are things that the woman wants from a man. I'm going to put them in the order that I feel that comes in terms of priority, though it can be debated. But you've got protection, you've got security, and then you have management. And I'll describe that one in a moment because, sorry, I'm writing fast. So if the spelling is a little bit off, don't mind. Management, which is for the future. And then for women, it is things that they bring to the table that a man wants is to um, take care of them. I'm just going to put take care. Um, this includes uh, intimacy or sex, and verbal encouragement. I'm just going to cut that off there because I don't want to take up a lot of space, but verbal encouragement. Next is submission. And this is not just me making this up. A lot of men that I've spoken to say this exact stuff. These are the things they want. And I just kind of broke it down in a more comprehensive way, um, in order in the home. And I'll explain what that is as well. So when it comes to people coming with their list of things, like I said, you have to be realistic in what you want and understand. First off, none of these things are free, and 9 times out of 10, they're at the top of everyone's list, regardless of what they think it's not. But a lot of times, what happens because people think it comes for free, they immediately go, "Okay, I'm not putting that on the list." For example, a woman thinks a guy's supposed to protect her is free. It's not for free. Just like if a guy assumed that he's getting his way in the bedroom for free, a woman's gonna try to combat that and go, "Well, I want my way in the bedroom too." No, if you make everything on the list and you say, okay, fine, you want your way in the bedroom, I'm not going to protect you. You got to be the one to fight for us if there's something goes on the street. As crazy as that sounds, I get it. It's not normal, but it's only when you put everything on the table that you realize what each person's getting, because you have to understand something. As crazy as it seems that the man by default should be protecting a woman, don't think that he's still not giving something up by protecting the woman. He still is giving up the potential of his life. So don't count that as free, even though that is the norm. I need you guys to understand that. So with that being said, and these are like the common things, whatever other things you might have on your list, understand that you can't demand the other thing from the other person. And that's where things get a little crazy, or where they start to have problems when people go into a less dysfunctional relationship, but they feel kind of high on their horse and say, I don't want to give up these things, but you are giving them up in a dysfunctional relationship. So, for example, though most men will never do that, this will sound crazy. But if a man said, okay, like the top of the woman's list, we'll say there's the woman's side, and the top of the woman's list is, well, I want a man to protect me. And he goes, no, like I want you to protect me. That's insane. Do not fight for the same area in which, that person has high demands on in their thing. But also, if you are going to fight for that area, you make sure that that area is high in your priority and means more to you than the other thing. So, for example, no, this is crazy and this would never happen. Say if a man said, no, I want a woman who protects me. I don't want to be the protector. I want the woman to protect me. Cool. Guess what? You then can't say, but also I want in my also number one spot, I want to demand sex. No, that doesn't go hand in hand. You can't do that. You said your number one thing is protection. That's what it is. Now, obviously, a guy's never going to say that. But I say that to say, just as crazy as that sounds, if a woman goes and says, okay, like the guy says, well, my number one thing, and first and foremost, is I want to be taken care of, sexually, verbal encouragement. I want to feel like that positive coming my way. And a woman goes, no, but I want to be dominant in those areas too. It's like, but don't you want protection? And they'll just go, well, yeah, like, but I expect that for free. No, it's not for free. That is your number one spot. You can't replace that. And sometimes people might actually nowadays, because things are so mechanical nowadays, and with that instant gratification, like I said before, people want to put out their demands right away. This might be I have to have a conversation that someone logically has immediately, or where they break it down logically, or because sometimes people are not a logical and they're very emotional. Maybe you can't have this conversation. Maybe you just have to go about things in a way where you demand what you want over time by simply getting in that situation, getting a positive light where they are afraid to lose you, and now you make your demands. But however it works, but my point is this: your number one should not be their number one. You should not try to dem- tell them to compromise their number one or their number two or their number three. You accept theirs just like you want yours to be accepted. If you expect anything on your list, and like I said, make your list half, because don't think you're coming with a list of 10 things and they get zero. You have to expect that they're going to demand things you don't like. And for you to get one of your things, you have to give them one of their things. And that list may not always be an even list. Maybe you've got, five things and they got six things. The point is, you go down the list evenly. And if there's something they have extra, if you don't mind giving into it for free, then it is what it is. Or maybe you have more weight in certain things versus other things. You say this takes up more than really one thing in terms of the weight of it. But nonetheless, I think these three things here, these three versus these three, are equal. Um, and let me go into this too. As I mentioned, some of these things might seem a little confusing. So, management in terms of the future for a man, what he provides is he sees the future plan in terms of retirement, in terms of legacy for the kids, a path for the kids to have an easier lifestyle, money and investments away for the kids. So when they turn of real working age, we'll say like 30, and they're starting their career job or whatever the case is, or they kind of settled into their career job after about 5 years of working, you can say, hey, listen, I got these investments for you. I've got a couple of, I don't know, whatever the amount of money is, a couple 100,000, maybe a couple $1 million for you. Do what you're going to do, have this better life, create more generational wealth. In the meantime, you're obviously going to be the ones to take care of me and mom as time goes on. He's securing that future and managing it already when the two of you are together, say in your 20s. He has all that mapped out and he's working towards it. So all that work he's putting in is like a second job. That's what it means by management in terms of the future, all those aspects. Order in terms of the house, order in the house for a woman is things like, you know, cleaning, cooking. Obviously, this stuff really comes later on down the line in a relationship, because even though a woman can cook and clean for you every now and then when you are dating them, but the truth is, it becomes a staple when you're living together. That's why I put it lower on the list. And this future management is lower on the list because doesn't come up front. But order in the house is cleaning the home, but not just cleaning the home. And like I said, this is what most men want. So I'm not saying a woman has to do this. I'm just letting them know that this is what a man will want from them. This is what a woman will want from a man. Order in the house would be like cleaning the home, but you're not just cleaning the home just for that man. You're cleaning the home for the kids. You're cleaning the home for your entire kingdom, because you both are a king and a queen, and that is your kingdom. And you both have a job to do to maintain that kingdom. You're cooking. You're doing inner house management, which includes maybe, getting the kids ready for their day. Now, obviously, the man may help you with that, but you might be the one who's organizing it. Even though the man might say for example, you might say to the man, okay, in this order, we got to go and get the kids ready by brushing their teeth, waking them up. Then we're going to give them breakfast, this and that. And you might tell the man, hey, listen, like I just cooked that breakfast over there. Just give it to them, sit the kids down, this and that. It doesn't mean you're doing all the work, but you are the one in charge of organizing that whole layout of, okay, like I already did the breakfast. Just give it to them, sit down with them, make sure they eat it. I already made their lunch, just pack it in their lunch bags. I already put out their clothes, just put their clothes on for them. So in that case, though the man might be helping to do all those things, the woman is dictating the order of it, because she is the one who put together that order, the same way the man had put together the order for the future. So it doesn't mean that he's the only one bringing in the money, but maybe he's like, okay, listen, to his woman, I'm putting in money. I need your money. Give me your money. I'm going to allocate it to all these certain bills. I'm going to do this with that. I'm going to put away a future fund for us to invest in. I'm going to do this and that with it. He's managing it. It doesn't mean he's doing all the work on his own in terms of making the money, but he's the one managing it, just like she's the one managing the inside of the home. So you get that kind of dynamic comparison. Here, the woman or the queen is in charge of all the interior stuff going on in order, and the man is, or the king is in charge of all the exterior stuff going on in keeping order for the future. So that's how that works. Just to explain those two. But you get my point. Don't stop the person from having their things. This goes, I'm going to tailor this right back to the beginning because I know the video is getting long. The dysfunctionality that you had in the other relationship of your dysfunctional relationships, the things you were doing for that person that you later on said, I did so much for them and I felt it was an abusive relationship. It wasn't good for me. All those things you did for them, you need to do in your next relationship. You have to do them. You have to welcome doing those things, even though you may not like them. You have to do them for that relationship to work. That is the key to making a relationship work, is based on your dysfunctional relationship, knowing that all those things, the next man wants them. The only difference is he's going to also give you other things. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say just a man, because the same thing for a woman. The woman will want those same things too. You got to give each other the same things you gave to your dysfunctional partner. That's always going to be the case. You can't come from a dysfunctional relationship and say, I'm never doing those things again because of the dysfunctional relationship. It doesn't work like that. You need to give those things to your new partner. With that being said, because I know I dragged the video on very long, you guys, as always, take care, be safe, like, share, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.